Habang kami no.
Okay, maybe I can.
Okay. So now I'm introducing the Threshold People. It's a interactive web documentary by Jenna Keiper. And yeah, I will leave her the stage for her to present it and explain more about it.
Thank you, Nada. Hi, everybody. So with the material that I gathered on the Camino, I was really interested in how we might use a different format or form to present material that didn't necessarily feel like it fit in a linear fashion. I was also really interested in the concepts of storytelling and how we as audience members and people who are involved in story and creating story are actually part of being storytellers within the material itself. So this is part of that. I am curious, along with that philosophy, if I could have a volunteer from the audience who would be interested in live time going through this website as a storyteller yourself. This is no pressure, except to just go through the website in the way that you would naturally. So, wondering if I could have a hand. Anybody brave? Ah, Kiki! Thank you, Kiki.
Give me instructions.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this up. So essentially the thought of it with the Camino de Santiago, you don't go backwards. Usually most people, you just go forward. It's like life. You're going through, you're experiencing a day, things happen, you can choose to rest, you can choose to talk to someone, you can choose to continue forward. So the web documentary is in that kind of a format where you as the participant are experiencing and choosing if you're going to stop, if you're going to talk to someone, listen to music, or continue forward. So Kiki, go ahead and please, or Christian, please continue in whatever way you would like to. Let me turn up the volume.
Start there.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
This is the only option to click first anyhow, right? No, this is the guidebook, but I would go here. Okay, so then I would probably close this here, right? And then I would see, okay, I go to the guidebook. Or I can also choose to go here. So this is the journey, probably linear or something. Okay, and then I see a triptych. With like 3 POV shots from different people walking. And I opt for the soul.
A threshold is a marker. It's that strange in-between space we so rarely give attention. It's the hole in the wall, the escape route, how we come and go. Functionally, it is a plank of wood, a stone, or a piece of metal. It is also the space between inside and outside, between the before and the after, neither, and both. It is, in itself, transition, and it is the only way to change the status quo. It is the only way to change. Humans of all kinds make their own steps across thresholds on this pilgrimage trail. Physically walking out the questions, the hurts, and unexpected shifts of life and love, a synergy of body, mind, and soul. Walking, step after step, the great miracle of transition after transition after transition, like life. And so, perhaps, humans seek physical experiences that mirror our inner experiences to help us on our way. Because sometimes we need something mysterious in our lives. Not everything is rational.
At this point, I would probably, if I wouldn't know you, I would just like Google your name, and then I would try to find like a little bit more information about the filmmaker, or like the researcher, and how do I go back?
So you can't go back.
Okay. And I can choose between this one and this one here, right? No? No. Here I could talk to Sarah, or I could listen to the guitar. I would probably... Oh, Sarah.
So interesting. Where I'm a long time on the way, and when I started in Saint-Jean, Pied de Port this year, there's so many people new coming on the way. And first days, they don't speak a lot, or so. After 5-6 days, they opened. You really feel it, I think. It's a change. I think the way helps them to get open.
Yeah, I just think it's healing for your soul, you know, walking the whole day in the nature and you connecting to yourself more and more. For me, walking is...
At this point, I would definitely try to get information about the project, because I see the one person there, and then I see a Zoom, and I would think, okay, is it maybe Corona related or something? And then I would research, but I know already, and I think the audience also knows that you, because they read the synopsis of it, but being an innocent web surfer, I would probably get information about it. And I'm wondering, where could I get information about the project itself? That's up to me, right? Keep walking. Or, yeah, that's the only thing. I would probably just open another page and Google Jenna Keiper and then. Of course, I would probably also just Google first, like, where is the whole Camino de Santiago? I know the end, but I would probably see, like, okay, where did she walk, or where did they walk as well? That would be interesting. But I go to the mind, I think.
Gamma waves, frequency 35 hertz, brain state, concentration. Beta waves, frequency 12 to 35 hertz, brain state, anxiety dominant, active, external attention, relaxed. Alpha waves, frequency 8 to 12 hertz, brain state, very relaxed, passive attention. Theta waves, frequency 4 to 8 hertz, brain state, deeply relaxed, inward focus. Delta waves, frequency 0.5 to 4 hertz, brain state, sleep. They say that alpha waves indicate the brain relaxed yet conscious, that these waves help us reflect and meditate. And they say that taking a walk to process a day puts us in alpha, that this is where anxiety loosens and creativity sparks. And they say that theta waves indicate deep meditation, openness, receptivity. And they say this is where daydreamers create worlds and runners find their flow. They say this comes from a task or movement becoming so automatic, you can disengage from the chattering, tyrannical mind and enter someplace else. Repetition of steps, the rhythm of walking, a break from the busy constructs of one's life. And so our brain follows. And so, perhaps, our soul.
Here I would probably think, okay, now it's like as I would like to have it, like the lighter one in the middle and the darker ones outside. That's kind of like my aesthetics. Here I really would like to desperately probably look for more information. Who is she? Who is this woman, or is it a woman, or... And I would be kind of like trapped. I would probably go to body then, to hear what she says about.
The hips are a center of physical power in our bodies. Our largest muscles connect here, alongside major nerves, ligaments, and bones, all intersecting at this location. We sit, we stand, we run, we dance, all with input from our hips. So it follows that a great deal of tension, including remnants of the body's reaction to trauma, can be stored and triggered here. Bring your attention to your body, right now, where it is sitting or standing. Is there pain or tension running down the front or sides of your hips, down near your sits bones or held in the muscles of your coccyx? Imagine the warmth of relaxation spreading from your belly button across to the tops of your hips, down the sides and front of the hip bones, now spreading through the inside of your body, down to the bones you are sitting on. Imagine this relaxation spreading back up through the base of your spine and your lower back. Give your body permission to be at peace. Take a deep breath and slowly exhale, allowing any leftover tension to exit your body. While our bodies can carry the stress of our emotional lives, these same bodies can also help us to release the stress. Thank you, body walking. The body walks out its pain.
I don't know how you see it, but the longer I stare on those feet, the more absurd it appears. Kind of like, it looks really weird, you know, like it's, I know what it is, but it looks absurd somehow. Okay, so here I could see, I would just like have a look where those people sleep.
It's time to stop for the day. Time to rest, eat, wash away the grime of the road. Time to drink wine with other pilgrims or to journal the thoughts that have joined you on this walk today. Time to watch the sunset. One more day of life experience. Time to watch the stars come out. Time to sleep. Today was another step forward in the journey of transition. Tomorrow we continue the work of the in-between.
So that is one way to go through this project. Thank you, Christian, so much for...
Definitely look for more information, like where did they walk, what was the concept behind, how many people did she interview? I mean, honestly, like the people talking is for me the most interesting, of course. And I would desperately try to kind of like find like, how can I see more people talking?
Yeah, so I can definitely guide you to that. I think we're in full screen right now. So it's actually down here in the index. Whoops, not the credit, it's the index. And here you can actually see there's a lot of different things that you can click on. So you can actually go and find all the interviews there. And the interviews and the music are actually in the choice when you rest, to stop, and you can choose to speak with a person. So you'll listen to their thoughts on the Camino as well as their thoughts 4 years later, kind of integrating the experience and talking to themselves. Or you can choose to let your mind with music kind of integrate what it was that you had just happen. So that's where you do that. And then information is actually in the credits, and it details who I am and yeah, in the about section.
And is that, yeah, it's small. I didn't see it. So it would have taken a little bit longer for me to see, okay, here are the credits. I can see who is this person and what was the intention for the research and how many people. I would just like see here. Okay, I would see like, I don't know.
The hips are a center of physical.
I would go back here and are the interviews kind of like all split screen like, the Camino and the Skype, or?
Yeah, Yeah, so part of the concept was that 4 years later, I re-interviewed people, and then it was like time kind of bent back on itself. And it was their storytelling about their experience as well. And in some of them, they actually have a bit of a conversation between past and future, which I also thought was interesting. And that for some people, the reason that they walked the Camino, they really only found out later, or that they were more truthful afterwards, which is also very interesting to find out. But there's a back and forth. But thank you so much, Christian. Really, applause for Christian. I appreciate it so much.
More questions? Sure. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think
Does this work? Yes? Okay.
it does.
So now we'll just kind of sit with Jenna for a bit, and we can take some questions from the audience and chat for another 10 minutes or so. Yeah. So that we can all have a lunch break also. First, we have a certificate. Thank you for presenting Threshold People to us.
Thank you.
It is. Yeah, so I was just thinking while Christian went through that, first of all, that he is very clearly a professor. I thought he was like basically grading it. But I really liked, because for me personally, when I've gone through Threshold People, I go on like an inward kind of journey. Like I think more within myself. But it was really interesting watching Christian do it, because he was so like, all right, let me get out of here. I need to find out who you are. I have to learn more about El Camino. It was just it was an outward sort of journey. What has been your experience? Like, you've seen a lot of people go through this, you've talked to people. What are people's experiences like? What diversity is there?
I think it's as diverse as the people who go through it, which is the magic of it, in my opinion, because we're all storytellers in a way, even if we don't realize it. And to have that information and to listen to somebody as they go through it is actually quite magical for me.
Yeah.
to hear your inner experience kind of as you go through it. And that is the magic of having something like this. And I would love more data on that.
Yeah, it's really great choice of medium. I guess really make the experience of like walking that pilgrimage more like close, for people who are using this website and going through it. So really, I find the choice of medium very impressive and great. My question would be, now you talked about like going back to the people and to see how the second time went and maybe reflecting. Do you think with such a medium as a web interactive documentary makes sense to really do follow up again with them in the future and to live on the website, and people also maybe not to watch it once but come back to it and follow up with the people? It could be interesting also like to have a time relationship, not a instant relationship, not like a film where you watch it one time, but it's something that you can always go back to it and follow up and go. Yeah, what do you think about that? Did you?
Oh, I think that would be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I would really love to see that in new media as we continued forward in different ways of presenting information and knowledge in documentary. What different ways humans and how we interact with something like this, especially if we have some semblance of control, or we can make the choices about what we consume and how. And yeah, I hope someone does a study on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I personally probably will never walk the Camino. I don't think I have the body to do it. I think I would rather, what was the third? Not theta, not alpha. I'd rather do the third, the sleeping one. But I liked having that control, feeling like I could actually do it. That was really special for me. I love it if, not just the Camino, but other journeys, not even exciting ones, just to the grocery store. Just things like that, where you see how an individual can go throughout life and, build their day, build their story, that sort of thing.
Definitely. And how I'm really also curious, like, to know how was your journey, because we see a lot of yourself, like there's like this kind of commentary and poetry, and like it's really deep, and like it makes like it really makes the understanding also like another level of experience. But I'm really curious, really, to you now with us to tell us about your experience and how really did it change or transform, or just how did you live it?
Yeah, I wanted to find some way to show what it felt like for me, which was when I was walking by myself, it felt like I dropped in deeper and my thoughts started going and I started thinking and it would branch off into trees of thought. And then when I stopped and rested, it's like I came back into my body, and either having an experience just listening to music or watching dance or something happen, whatever human thing was happening in the world then, or having a discussion with somebody, that connection point with someone else, that brings you then outside of yourself. So my experience on the Camino was a constant cycle of dropping into yourself and then like opening back out into the world and with other humans as well.
Awesome, thank you. Do we have any questions from? Oh, we have one there.
Ooh, my goodness,
There are
many.
two.
I think I saw 4.
Oh, great.
Thanks, yes. Actually, a comment and a question. The comment is that I think it's quite refreshing that you're playing around with linearity, which is something that's very courageous to do, because linearity plays such a fundamental role in our lives, in anthropology, in filmmaking, and in storytelling. I mean, most of storytelling is linear. There is a movement now in cinema to move away from linearity, and that not all stories should be linear, but I think it's refreshing to see a different way of approaching it. And in some case, you've even chosen one of the most linear phenomena to do that with, because if there's anything that's linear, it's a pilgrimage. And all the pilgrimage films that I've seen are, when it comes to narrative, almost the same. I mean, they start often with very fresh walkers, and after a few days there's the blisters, and then they have some wine, and then they end up at the cathedral in Santiago de Compostela. So there's an obvious self-evident narrative there, so hidden somewhere. And therefore there's also the expectation of who's watching it. There is that linearity in the minds of the viewers. So, I mean, if you watch a reportage from a football match between Liverpool and Real Madrid, as on Saturday, I mean, what would happen if you cut off that reportage 5 minutes before the match ended, kind of thing? I'm saying this because I was supervising, it was a coincidence, but within the span of 2 years, I was supervising 3 student projects, all dealing with boxing, and actually all dealing with female boxing. One in Australia, one in Norway, and I think the last one was in Denmark. And I was insisting that they can't show female boxing with fights going on without showing what the result is. And one of the students said, "No way, I mean, I'm not going to do that. That's so cliche-like. So she refused to do it. And what happened was she showed it at loads of festivals. At every festival, the first question from the audience is, who won? Anyway, so that was the comment. The question is linked to it, which is, if you hadn't chosen to sort of rethink linearity through this form, and you actually did choose to make a non-linear film, what would that look like?
Oh, that's a great question, and one that I would love to allow my brain to explode into. I'm going to think about that. Yeah, thanks for the prompt.
I think we had a couple other questions.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. I was talking yesterday with a colleague who came back from not more rambling tour, and we are talking about this experience of walking. And this is, I think, people who have done the Camino or other stuff immediately remember their own experience. And my question is there a chance? I don't know. Perhaps you talk a bit about the architecture, the program as well. But is there any chance, or have you had experience for people? Because immediately you start thinking about your own experience. Is there a way of sharing for your audience? audiences their own ideas to add up? Is there a kind of, is it a closed project? Is there any way to open it up to be interactive with your audience in the future or now? So that would be something which we are all like curious about, using platforms like this to how to open linear or any way of comments into into the future and, and getting experience from audience into this kind of way, because it happens if you have walked and you see the feet and it comes back to so you open a memory to people who actually would be given to interact with them, or they interact with you or with each other.
I love that idea. I think that would be something magical to push into, truly, because then there's an openness there, and anyone who comes across can add their own experiences and memories, and it keeps rolling, it keeps making knowledge. Thank you. That's wonderful. Say that again. Didn't hear you.
Is it always possible, or is it what you said? Is it something you are looking for? Is it possible already on this website or not to add?
Right now, it's not possible on the website, but I really love the idea.
I'm getting all kinds of ideas from the audience today.
No, it's amazing.
Okay, thanks a lot for this. I also think it's extremely interesting, and I also want to know if you have any idea about the reception of the website. Did you assess the reception in any way? Did you talk to people who used your website, or did you assess it in any structured way?
I have not, and I think that's a fabulous idea as well. Truly. There was a whole other idea, actually, which I wasn't able to get to, but of how interesting would it be to have a group of volunteers in a room, and then they go through it, and then at the end you have a discussion together about the experiences, or maybe somebody would be able to write something and you could gather more knowledge. I think there's so much possibility when it comes to new media and what we can push into. I really do believe that there's energy going in that direction, so hopefully in the future.
Yeah, because we're also interested in new forms, but then we know little about the reception of those.
All right, I think we have time for maybe just one more question.
If it's just one more, then I can also, then somebody else can.
Yeah, you can talk to Jenna anytime, Thomas. Do we have one more question?
We have here one in the front.
But I just want to say, I really love how it is structured, somehow to use walking as a way of organizing your thought and reflection and so on. Yeah, we have an assumption that thinking and so on take place in mind, but no, thinking is part of the geography, it's extend to your body and so on. So to have the trace of where you walk and what thought it triggers and so on, to somehow locate knowledge in geography, I thought it's a beautiful way of organizing a research project. I like it. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Yeah, and in my research, as I was reading papers and things and going through before I put everything together, I noticed some of those ideas, more of a poetic, philosophical, right, on that side of things, but talking about the beauty of how when you experience something and it is tied to geography, how that stays in your mind as part of the landscape, or how the landscape brings up within you as well, so that your body is moving through the landscape, through the earth, and you're making knowledge while you do it, and it's also having a cycle in the other direction. Rebecca Solnit has a beautiful book called Walking, which I highly recommend. It talks about those kinds of things, and it's really beautiful.
Okay, there is this recent research that I'm very much interested in. It's called the extended mind theory.
Yeah, I read some of that. Yeah, and that's part of what came in. Extended mind was that thought and the loops that happen when your body is working, your mind is working, everything's clicking, and it's a cycle. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, so thank you all. Thank you so much for presenting your fabulous project. And
Yeah, thank you again. And I think that would be a wrap for now.
all right.
And up to the lunch break. How long would it take? 30 minutes when the other one? At 2. Okay, so the main festival starts at 2. So
All right. So we got 27 minutes for lunch. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask Jenna. Thank you. Thank you so much.